Austin Palmer, not Carson Palmer.
No, not to be confused with the once great quarterback.
Once above average.
Above average quarterback,
yes. Playing Mono Blue Devotion. As Keith is going to start off with a Mutavault here, so might be getting in for 2 damage on turn 2.
Yeah, you know, the evolution of Abrupt Decay in these decks is an eventuality. You have the Scry lands, you can play both sets of Scry lands, so you can actually be able to cast Nightveil Spectre off the blue when you're using the blue-green Scry land. And also, people are just sick of losing to Detention Sphere. Even though you're good against the Detention Sphere decks with playing Devotion, you still can lose to them. If they draw 2 or 3 Detention Spheres, they can beat you.
Yep.
Abrupt Decay gives you an out to that. And it looks like Austin mulligans to 6 because he plays an Omen Speaker.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that's okay. No, it's okay.
Personal bias coming out here as Keith is going to play his first Swamp of the match. If Palmer's not familiar with what's going on, I mean, this is a Black Moon Devotion deck. He does just have 2 copies of Temple of Mystery to be able to scry, and as you mentioned, be able to cast the Nightveil Spectre.
Yeah, and the blue in here is obviously just for Nightveil Spectre, like you said. So we're scrying, we're having a good time, and if you see a Mutavault here, you're probably playing against Devotion with basic Swamp. So Austin probably, he's okay. Block there. What do we got?
Yeah,
we got
it's like a free roll tag.
Yeah. And we have the Nightveil Spectre. Pretty good in this matchup, especially for, it's just the power and toughness on that card. You wouldn't think it would be so relevant, but the 2/3, the 3 toughness in a world of 2/2s is pretty good.
Yeah, it's also very difficult for the Mono Black to be able to get off the table. Ultimate Price not going to get the job done. Neither will Doomblade. Hero's Downfall will, of course, and Abrupt Decay, which Keith is splashing for, also takes care of it. Another reason for that splash, be able to take care of Nightveil Spectre.
Yeah, yep, and you'll see, especially in the Mono Black mirror, Nightveil Spectre is house.
Yeah, can win the game all by itself.
Yep, I get to play all your spells. Funny that. And here it is on the screen. A card that was a quarter at one point, 10-cent bulk rare, now $9-10.
Yeah, in the house.
Pretty good, pretty good.
So let's see what Keith has on his 4th turn. Typically, this deck will play a Desecration Demon when it has 4 mana, but Jody's just going to pass the turn back. Another card that he does have is 2 copies of Devour Flesh, another card that can actually take care of the Spectre, as the Spectre and the Omen Speaker are going to come into the red zone here.
Yeah, yep, and Omen Speaker will gladly take the fall for that. But here's the Abrupt Decay as mentioned. Such a good card against pretty much everything right now in the format. Even against Control, everyone's playing 4 Detention Spheres, so it's not like it's never dead. Before, in the older format, when Abrupt Decay first came out, before rotation, it was definitely very limited. But now, instead of a 1 of, it's a 4 of a lot of times.
Yep. So Omen Speaker just come across for 1. Keith opts not to block it with the Mutavault, so we'll see what Palmer has for 4 mana. You see him tapping 2 of it. Looks like he's got a Frostburn Weird, and he will cast the Is It Hybrid Creature and pass the turn back.
I wonder what's in Austin's hand, because I think a better attack would be with just the Nightveil Spectre and then play Jace, with able to block the Mutavault, minusing it. Yeah, that would have been real good. I think a Jace to the board would be just house right now instead of this this limited bomb here. Frostborn Weird.
Yeah, Frostborn Weird did do some work in Return Around to become limited.
It was good.
Not a bad constructed card either, however.
Right. I think, I've actually had that fire, that passion to play 4 of these and then some fastest on my board as like a package with maybe a Master Ways or 2. But
a little switch?
Yeah, but then it just goes away the next day. Kind of like it's a fleeting image in my head.
Well, you never know. You can just always fire up the old Magic Online.
Yeah, I can.
Give it a try. or don't. Maybe save your tickets.
Yeah, I'll just
Either one. Either one's fine.
Yeah. I'll save them.
All right, Weird into the red zone. Omen Speaker no longer coming in, as double Mutavault could block. Going to see 1 pump here from Palmer. Going to deal 2 damage over to Keith. Going to knock him down to 17. We'll see what he's got for his second main phase. I think he does have a Jace.
Yeah, I don't think. But now, why would you attack if you want to have your Jace safe? You just let it sit back and block Mutavaults. Because if you minus Jace here, you're throwing it away to the Mutavault attack. If you plus it, I think you kind of have to at this point.
You might be okay throwing it away to the Mutavault attack, though, because that'll basically be Keith's turn.
That's
which
true.
Isn't the worst thing in the world, honestly.
Yeah, I really like to see, it's kind of like that situation you put yourself into. Do you want to minus it right here and get some value out of it in case he has a Hero's Downfall? I always say no, because if he doesn't have the Hero's Downfall, that Jace is there to stay, and they're in big, big trouble. Then you can just control the game for the rest of the time there,
You see the Jace -2 reveal 2 Cloudfin Raptors and an Island. Cloudfin Raptor and Island goes to Palmer's hand. The other Cloudfin Raptor on the bottom of the deck, but not the best Jace here as a Devour Flesh.
This is actually interesting now. I think you sack the Frostborn Weird here.
Going to sack the Omen Speaker.
Because if you sack the Frostborn Weird here, you save your Jace, because he can't kill it. Oh, this is end of turn. I'm sorry.
End of turn.
I was confused for a minute. I thought we already was on his turn. Never mind. Definitely don't sack the Omen Speaker.
I mean, the one thing that he can do is just make it so that if he sacks the Frostburn Weird, then it takes both Mutavaults firing up. Now it only takes one Mutavault to fire up to kill the Jace, and Keith can do other things this turn. But it looks like he's just going to pass the turn back. So not a lot of action for the deck that does have 4 copies of Underworld Connections, of course, Desecration Demon, Pack Rat, Grey Merchant, Erebos. Not doing a ton.
No, it's definitely playing into, it looks like kind of a rock control deck right now. We're killing things, abrupt decaying things. And again, Austin, he's definitely in the driver's seat right now, but he still just has a Frostborn Weird in play, not too much. And that's, again, why I kind of like to get the Jace out and then just guarantee its survival by plussing it, minus a Hero's Downfall. But we'll see what Austin has in his hand. I think I saw another Nightfell Spectre when he lifted his hand up.
You saw Palmer trying to double activate the Frostburn Weird with an Island and Mutavault, but you can only do it with red or blue hybrid mana for Frostburn Weird, so Keith points that out and says you can't use that Mutavault for that. Untaps that. It's going to play a Cloudfin Raptor. There is a Nightfell Spectre that you did mention, actually a foil one, going to trigger the evolution on Cloudfin Raptor, and it looks like we're going to pass the turn back with just a Mutavault's worth of mana available. So let's see exactly what Keith can do here as he's taking a look at the Cloudfin Raptor. We know he's got a Hero's Devotion in his hand. Excuse me, a Hero's Downfall. He's going to take care of that Nightfell Spectre.
Yeah, I like this. I like where we're at here. We got some sweet limited action. I love it. I love to see Cloudfin Raptors and Frostborn Weirds in play. So it's pretty funny.
Might get to see some Mutavaults attacking too.
Mutavaults, not really. I think that card was when I saw it. It's definitely a card that goes in control and aggro decks. I love that card.
The Pack Rat is here, and Keith is going to pass the turn back, and he can make a rat, but he can also make his rats huge because he has double Mutavault in play right now, and Mutavault is every creature type. Pack Rat wants as many rats as play as possible, so that interaction is something that led Brian Bronduin to a Grand Prix championship.
Yeah, and it also provides for a lot of misplay too, because you never know how big that's going to be when you don't play against these cards in conjunction. The good thing about the blue deck here is that he has a Cyclonic Rift, so it can never get out of control. He can always overload and get himself out of a sticky situation. A lot of decks don't have that ability to reset, and rats will just run amok there.
So here's a Bind of Thassa pre-combat. Now both creatures coming in. Cloudfin Raptor is a 1/2. Frostborn Weird is a 1/4, but threatening to turn into a 3/2. So Keith looks like he's going to tap 3 mana. Is it going to be for a rat, or is it going to be for a Hero's Downfall? Because he has access to both right now.
All right, yeah, we'll see. I think, what do we have here? He's holding a card, so we're discarding here. Yep.
All right.
And then he can make so there's rats are now 2/2s.
He can make them 3/3s.
Yep. And we can make them 3/3s. You can double block, and that's what he will do. He'll actually wait for Austin to actually dump some mana in here, because at the moment, the Frostborn Weird isn't killing anything. And Austin, you really just we attacked here, so it's time to, you got to put the mana in there now.
Yeah, he's going to have to dump both mana, too, because now there's one trigger. And Keith says, all right, activate Mutavault.
Yep. So
now my rats are 3/3s.
Yep. Yeah, the one Tech with Frostborn is okay here. This shows you this power, how good Pack Rat is, and how good it's become. Definitely didn't see that coming.
So now a rat the rat token is going to die, but it's a copy of Pack Rat anyway, so it doesn't really matter which one you kill. So there goes. Actually, I take that back. It actually does matter because it's Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
So it actually could end up mattering quite a bit here.
Yeah, and he has a Cyclonic Rift. Oh, he definitely. Maybe did Jody just throw one in the graveyard, or did he order it that way?
I think he may have ordered it that way.
Oh, because Austin actually has a Cyclonic Rift too.
So he did draw a card off of the bite, and he just passed the turn back again with just that lone Mutavault in play. Keith sitting at 14, Palmer sitting at 23, and we'll see what Keith can do on this turn, because basically he's basically trying to ride Pack Rat to victory right now.
Not a bad strat. I like it.
We've seen it happen before, and likely going to see it happen again. Just don't know if it's going to happen in this particular game.
For those kind of new to coverage or even in standard in general, Pack Rat's become a force over the last few months. People do remember, and I'm sure from last year when it was drafted, or not last year, earlier this year, and man, is that a good card in Limited or what?
It does okay.
It does okay.
It does just okay.
I don't remember a card ever being that dominant. I mean, obviously a lot of rares are very good, but that card is just a new level of good.
See Keith taking a look at Hero's Downfall and a Thoughtseize. So he's only got 2 cards in his hand, and not a ton that he can do. So we'll see. We'll see how he wants to use these cards, because Thoughtseize doesn't seem like it's at its best right now. But to be fair, your opponent has 3 cards in their hand. They're playing Mono Blue Devotion, so they could have Master, they could have Thassa, they could have Cyclonic Rift, Jace, all that stuff. So it might be worth a Thoughtseize.
I think so too. I think he Thoughtseize here. obviously you're sacrificing a rat, but you know what? More rats are going to be coming. Every card you draw here.
It looks like he's going to cast Hero's Downfall. It looks like he wants to cast Hero's Downfall. So yes, he's going to take care of the Cloudfin Raptors so that Palmer can't draw any more cards. In theory, he does have the Mutavault that can attack and draw him a card, and Pack Rat's going to come across for 1 point of damage.
Yeah, luckily, yeah. The thing here is, Mutavault will be activated and come crashing in because even if Jody activates Mutavault, it's still just a 2/2. And he can't make another rat because then it would just be a 2/2. So either way it trades. And there's that Spectre we saw earlier.
And now a Thassa and Devotion is there.
Yep.
You see Palmer put the die on top of his deck to make sure he doesn't forget to scry. So he's sitting in pretty good board position.
He doesn't attack with the Mutavault.
No. Hangs back.
And I really wish Jody would have used that Thoughtseize earlier because I guarantee that rat is way worse than pulling one of those cards out of his hand. But we're in the situation now where, like you said, I guess we're all in on this Pack Rat plan.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's got two 2/2 Pack Rats. That's a mouthful to say, but he can make them into 4/4s because the 2 Mutavaults in play, and he can discard a card to make them into 5/5s. Now, Thassa will actually be able to beat one of those in combat, but the other rat will be able to come across for damage here. So we're in a funny situation.
Is that a whip of Erebos, I think? It looks like a whip.
That one might actually be worth putting into play.
It could be. It's either Whip or Erebos himself.
Desecration Demon.
Oh, Demon.
Is
Okay.
the card.
Okay.
So the 6/6 is in Keith's hand. And he's deciding if he wants to play that or if he wants to make a rat, and how can he trick Palmer here, if at all?
I think a rat at this point is better than any creature Jody can play.
Inclined to agree.
Yeah, and this not knowing that Austin's final card is a Cyclonic Rift, which is going to be a disaster. This is going to be just no matter what Jody does here. It's going to be very, very bad. Actually, a funny little interaction. If he does activate Mutavaults to block, Cyclonic Rift does not bounce those.
It does not bounce those. Does
pretty
not
cool.
Bounce lands.
Yeah.
You see the Scry from Thassa is going to put the top card on the bottom. Draw a card. You see the Cyclonic Rift in Palmer's hand. He's got 2 of those in his main deck, and I think he just drew an island for the turn. So even though he didn't draw a business spell, I think Rift is the business spell that he'd be looking for anyway, and he's already got that. And so he's going to come across with the Spectre and the Thassa.
Yeah, and when Jody tries and makes a rat prior to blocks, Austin will have a nice little response for him. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen here. He's probably going to pay his 3. Oh, no, we're doing this first.
And she's trying to figure out exactly how he wants to sequence this. Is Keith saying, I can make 5/5 rats. I've got a card in my hand. I've got double Mutavault, which counters rats, so I can make 5/5 rats. They don't beat Thassa in combat, and Thassa can just go unblockable anyway if she wants to.
Yep. And Nightveil Spectre's flying, so you're pretty much just, all right, he's going to take it and draw 2 cards here.
In theory, 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Nightveil Spectre, top card's a Golgari Guildgate.
Okay, he could play that tapped.
Yep. So now he's got access. He'll start having access to the spells that he finds from Keith.
Yeah.
But you also take a look at Keith's life total right now. He's sitting at 7, and Thassa plus
Spectre. He has domestication in hand. He could potentially steal a rat and use that Guildgate to make some rats. Probably not even necessary at this point.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he did do that.
No, we're going to see end of turn overloaded Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah, I don't see much of a reason to move, honestly.
Yeah, actually, he doesn't even need to do that because he can just make his guys unblockable and kill Jody. Yeah.
The world is his oyster.
Yep. I think Jody's going to go in for a big attack here, and then he'll meet the rift we've been chatting about this whole time.
You see Keith is organizing all of his lands, looking to activate these Mutavaults. How much damage can I deal? 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It looks like, yeah, if he were to move in here, which is what he looks like he's going to do, knowing that he's in a world of trouble, everything's going to come in here. The rats are 5/5, so 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah. Even so would not be enough.
And Palmer says, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to overload this. 4, 5, 6, 7. Use them all. So Pack Rat is going to get picked up. Its tokens are going to go bye-bye. And Mutavaults, of course, don't go anywhere because Cyclonic Rift cannot return land permanents. So return target non-land permanent.
All right, and Jody's like, yeah, I'm dead, but I'm going to make you kill me anyway. Because he's at 7.
Interesting draw, actually. So
Austin has 9 damage on board.
You see in his hand, though, he actually drew a an Abrupt Decay.
Oh, okay.
So he can take down the Spectre and knock off the Devotion, assuming that Palmer doesn't play things pre-combat to make sure the Devotion count is there.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's going to win him the game.
No. He has Master of Waves. He can play pre-combat, and that would give him 1, 2, 3. That's not enough. So, yeah, he's actually going to make his guy unblockable.
It says unblockable. So now there's Abrupt Decay. So that means that, okay, that Thassa in theory is attacking, but it just gets removed from combat.
Yep.
It's no longer a creature. So not going to take the 5 damage from that. You see Palmer's hand right now. He's got that Master of Waves. He's got a Tidebinder made. So had he played those things pre-combat, the game would actually...
Yeah.
It would not be over. He would go down to... Keith would be at 2.
Did he have the mana to activate Mutavault too?
I don't think to play all of that stuff, I guess...
Yeah,
actually, he would have. He would have, yeah.
He would have slain him. Yep. So Austin kind of gives Jody one more turn, but knowing the Devotion deck, there's really nothing he can draw to get out of this.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a punishment here for this. Master of Waves comes into play. There's going to be a bunch of...
you can make them all unblockable too.
Yeah, 2 on elementals are going to come in.
Yeah, 5 creatures can be unblockable. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 creatures. 5 draws a land.
Keith draws a card. It's a Hero's Downfall. There's a Pack Rat. I believe his draw was Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
He can take care of the Master with.
Okay. Jody's going to make him go through with it?
As he should.
Yeah, sure.
As he should. Never concede.
Yeah, I guess the only reason I like to concede is because I don't feel like I feel like I'm getting bullied otherwise. You know, I just want to pick my toys up and go home. Come back later.
Palmer does Scry with Thassa, decides to keep the card. Jace, Architect of Thought, is the card that is drawn for the turn. You see him organizing his mana here, putting Mutavault off to the side. Give me that Golgari Guildgate 2. We'll see as soon as he does reorganize this mana, figure out what he does want to do with it. Probably wants to leave that Mutavault open to attack with, and now here comes Jace. I think realizing his mistake from last turn, wants to make sure he plays the Devotion Enablers before combat.
Yep. And simply will make his Thassa unblockable here. He doesn't even really need to. But
3 cards off the top. Another Biden of Thassa, an Omen Speaker, and a Judge's Familiar. So Keith will spread these out. The Biden and the Familiar look like they may go to the grip here for Palmer.
Yep. I think Austin is just deciding how badly he wants to kill Jody here.
He actually says, I'm going to take the Omen Speaker, your favorite card.
Yeah,
your invitational card.
Yeah, probably one of the best cards ever printed.
Yep.
It's kind of like Augur Bullets, if they could possibly make Augur Bullets any worse.
Which, in theory, they may have done that. Just for you.
Just for me.
Yeah.
I beg for Wall of Omens to be reprinted. I beg all the people I can beg.
That's not going to happen.
It's just a Wall of Omens.
That's not going to happen, buddy.
It's just an 0-4.
Everybody's going to come in, and Keith is going to pack it in. So Austin Palmer's going to win at game number 1. Mono Blue Devotion up a game over base black with a small splash of green Devotion. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. I've got Jody Keith in front of me. He's got 2 copies of Farika's Cure, a Vraska the Unseen, a Doomblade, 3 copies of Duress, an additional Pack Rat to go along with his 3 in the main deck, a additional Erebos, God of the Dead, a Pithing Needle, a Ratchet Bomb, 2 Golgari Charm, and 2 Dark Betrayal. So you can see that he is pretty focused on actually being able to beat the mirror, but cards that he can actually bring in to be helpful. Golgari Charm's not bad here. It takes care of Master of the Waves by itself. It can also take care of some of the early drops as well, so I don't hate that. Also can take care of that Biden of Thassa since this is destroy target enchantment.
Right.
So that's a step in the right direction. Pack Rat can certainly win a game on its own in this matchup because the blue deck doesn't really have removal, so that's not so bad here either. Outside of those options, I mean, I guess I kind of like Doomblade too, but
yeah,
you know, it doesn't take care of Nightveil Spectre, which is one of the problem cards in this matchup. So outside of that, I don't really love Keith's options in his sideboard.
No, and on the other side, Austin has Domestication, but then again, you know, doesn't really do much in this matchup, and if it did, he could Golgari Charm and blow somebody out here. Because stealing a Nightveil Spectre is pretty good. I mean, thinking about it. Problem is, you do that, you get Golgari Charmed, that's pretty bad news. He has Negates, Dissolve, more counter spells. Those aren't very helpful here. Gainsay. The Mono Blue Devotion sideboard is pretty much geared to beat the mirror match and control decks because you only have one color to work with, so it's not like you have a lot of leeway on what you can put in your sideboard. So he has, you know, another Jace Architect of Thought to get a 3. He's got Memory Depths. He's got Aetherlings. All these cards pretty good against control decks, but against a deck like this, not the best card in the world. But I think Austin has to believe that he has the favorite in this matchup, that he's definitely a little bit ahead just by playing, you know, these sweet blue cards. So we'll see how it goes here.
And of course, if you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Shaheen Sarani here in StarCityGames.com Open Series has brought us to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas for the weekend. Hopefully the the Cowboys will lose this weekend. I don't know if you're a Cowboys fan.
Oh, no, I'm a San Francisco fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a front runner.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably not too tough.
Yeah, I was definitely, I was loving life when we were 2-14 a few years ago.
I don't think you were a fan then.
Oh, I was still a fan, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
you stuck through the tough
I
years.
stuck through,
Wow, really?
Alex Smith, first round, over Aaron Rodgers. It was pretty good draft pick, I think.
Looks right to me. Chiefs are X and O.
Definitely all Alex Smith in that country.
A little bit of results-oriented thinking right there.
Yeah.
If you are pro Alex Smith, at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL for your tweets. What's your Twitter handle?
At Shaheen MTG.
Okay, so if you're a
Shaheen
49ers
MTG.
front runner like Shaheen, you can also can talk back and forth there. If you want to know what real football is like, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
you want to know suffering?
If you know Cedric, if you follow him on Facebook or Twitter, you see a lot of Browns comments back and forth. A couple good moves from the Browns. They like to trade their good players.
They do. They do.
They have a nice running back in Trent Richardson. They were like, nah, we don't need him.
Yeah, that's right. Get him out.
Yeah,
Get him out.
We'll take a draft pick. Spin the wheel again.
If you think those 2 and 14 years were tough, if you actually want to hate yourself, be a fan of Cleveland teams.
And Hoyer. Hoyer was good.
That's
he's good for.
If you're going to talk about Brian, I'd prefer that you call him by his name.
Okay.
That is Hoyer the Destroyer.
Hoyer the Destroyer.
Thank you very much.
He was luckily your backup. You're right back to where you started, right? What's his name again?
I won't say it on air.
Okay.
Because he's so bad. I won't give him his moment on our air.
On the SG.
That's right.
Wavelength.
Doesn't deserve it. He's worse than Judge's Familiar. He's worse than Omen Speaker.
Oh no.
Oh yes. He's making more money than I ever will in my entire life.
So you're saying his power is less than 1? Is that what
yes,
you're
it
saying?
is. Yes, it's actually in the negatives. That's how bad said quarterback is.
I can't even remember his name.
Yeah, I'm glad. No one will know his name in 2 years.
Yeah.
Just how it should be.
It'll come to me. If you're following us here, you can tweet us at SCG Live.
Don't tweet at him. Don't tweet at SCG
how
Live.
good the Cleveland Browns have become.
That's right.
Oh, well, they can still win the division. You never know.
Anything can happen in the game of football. As you see, Keith and Palmer are shuffling up here for game number 2. Again, Jody Heath down a game with Black Green Devotion, so he'll be on the play. Austin Palmer with Mono Blue Devotion up a game. Now, of course, you did mention a little bit earlier, and everyone probably knows by now at home, that at Pro Tour Theros, Mono Blue Devotion takes first, second, and third place at the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Now, I know you don't like to attack, but how do you feel about Mono Blue Devotion as a deck? You a fan?
Yeah, I think whenever you have a deck like this, it feels very combo-y, fringy, and I like it. And it's just cards that go well together. It's kind of like Stoneblade a little bit in Legacy. There's no real combo in it. It's not really a control deck. I mean, control decks don't play a turn 2 Stoneforge Mist. They play Vendilion Clicks and then Lingering Souls. Like, it still has that come out the gates, can win early kind of mentality. The blue deck's very similar in that fashion. It plays a bunch of early drops that by themselves are pretty disgusting to look at. I mean, in the realm of constructed Magic, you're like Cloudfin Raptor, Frostborn Weird. But then you play these cards like Bident, you play these cards like Thassa, and it brings it all together, and then you can just out of nowhere just dominate the board.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, talking with Team SCG, definitely while we were at Pro Tour Theros, they basically said you have to play a lot of bad cards to make these awesome cards work, but it's worth it because the awesome cards are so good.
Yeah.
Master of Waves and Thassa and Nightveil Spectre and Bident and Jace, they're so good that it's worth it to play a card like Judge's Familiar or a Cloudfin Raptor or Tidebinder Mage. Because, if I draw enough of my good cards, it's going to be very hard for the opponent to win, as Keith has drawn one of his good cards in Pack Rat on turn 2.
Yeah, and I've seen the number of Thassa. I've seen 2, and then 3. We saw at the Pro Tour a lot of 3s. And now we're back to 4, because you really need, like you said, you need that good card. And if you draw all these junky cards, like, not going to say anything on board, and you're not going to be able to win with, Austin's not, he doesn't have illusion of grandeur here. He knows exactly what Omen Speaker is. He knows it has a blue mana cost in his symbol there, and he knows that it stops early aggro creatures. He doesn't even care that it deducts a card from your hand, because it's all about building that board until you get to 5 Devotion to kind of clock your opponent here. And, the Black Devotion doesn't have the same things. I mean, their god, Erebos, is good, but it's not Thassa good. It costs 1 less. Being 1 less mana is big. Big.
Yeah, I mean, it can't really surprise anyone that Thassa was a breakout card at the Pro Tour, just a breakout card at all. When all the other cards cost 4 mana, this one costs 3. Makes you scratch your head a little bit. Why is there a 3 mana one with all this text that actually does real things here, as Palmer's going to play a Cloudfin Raptor and a Frostburn Weird? You saw in Keith's last turn he was able to play that Nightveil Spectre, blue mana from the Temple to go on with Swamp.
Yep, definitely a good benefit here. I think, and you see, we joke, but look at the board. Look at these 5 cards on the board right now. if you would have said these are going to be the cards on the board last year, I would have called you crazy.
Sure.
These cards are just atrocious. But Devotion makes these cards good because who cares what you do in the early turns? You're like a combo deck. You're just diddling around, hanging around, and then you're boom.
And you draw your game-breaking Devotion cards, and
Yeah.
it's all worth it. Thoughtseize here from Keith, going to show a hand of Frostburn, Weird, Nightveil Spectre, a Master of Waves, and a Mutavault. Now, we don't have all the information of Keith's hand, but what do you take here? He's going to take a Master of Waves. Looks like that's the card he's the most scared of.
Yeah, that's the one that just makes the board, the ground assault is over officially. Obviously, if in a vacuum, being a black-green Devotion player, I would not care about the Master at all because you have so much removal, and it all hits Master. But Jody must be removal light at this point.
Spectre comes across.
Oh, we can cast that.
He can play that Judge's Familiar off the top. As Cloudfin Raptor opted not to block, Palmer's thinking likely to be next turn I can play my own Nightveil Spectre, evolve my Cloudfin Raptor, and I'll have 2/3 blockers there.
Okay, so he has Underworld Connections, which he's probably going to play here. I mean, the Judge Familiar is making him kind of second guess what he's doing, or he can make another Pack Rat, and he's going to go with Pack Rat.
Yeah, he's going to pass the turn back. He has 2 copies of Underworld Connections, and he has an Abrupt Decay in hand, does Keith.
Yeah.
And so he could have done a lot of different things there, but it looks like, as you mentioned, he's just going to make it so that he has access to either playing Abrupt Decay or making a Pack Rat.
Right, and it looks like with this crashing in here, you can't really block Frostborn Weird here with double rat because you're going to lose both your rats. You could Abrupt Decay here. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to make a rat, which is what I would do. Because once you get the 3rd rat out, then it's pretty much, you're not attacking me on the ground anymore with that Frostborn Weird. Yeah. Effectively, anyway.
And we both know Omen Speaker's not coming in.
Omen Speaker, he did his job already. He added a blue Devotion to the board, and he's done.
After combat, now there's a Nightveil Spectre. So maybe you can argue poor operations, but at the same time, this allowed Palmer to actually get in with the Frostburn Weird. So maybe this was his plan all along.
Yeah. Do you make a rat here now, or do you need to Abrupt Decay that Nightveil? I think you Abrupt Decay here.
I think we are going to see Abrupt Decay. I was thinking you make a rat because, you don't want 2 Underworld Connections. You're more than happy to discard 1.
Yeah, I guess you can untap and Abrupt Decay. Yeah, better use of mana. All right, let's see if he draws a land, he can definitely Abrupt Decay and then make a 3rd rat here.
Yeah, drawing a land would be huge. Here's 2 mana. This is going to be a Pack Rat. I mean, drawing a Pack Rat is similarly good, and it is. Yep. So Pack Rat is a cheaper version of the card. Abrupt Decay is going to take care of the Spectre, and Keith can come into the red zone with all 3 of his creatures.
That's big damage here. I mean, Pack Rat, like you see, it just gets out of control very quickly. Your blue deck, you can't really deal with these rats over here. The only deck that would actually be good against these board states here in these cards are decks with Supreme Verdict. And we see it, paper, rock, scissors. You dodge it, now you can play with your Pack Rats, have a great time.
Yep.
There's no Detention Sphere coming, there's no Verdict coming. You're safe, good to go.
Nightveil Spectre going to put an island into play. Judge Familiar going to come into play now too, since Keith has not played a land. So a fantastic turn there for Jody as he's happily passing the turn back over to Palmer. Palmer's going to untap, and again, Keith knows his hand from that Thoughtseize. Know that he wasn't sitting on much, so it would have to be top decks to get him out of this situation.
Yeah, this looks like a limited board that got out of control.
Yeah.
This is just, pretty standard here.
Frostburn we're going to come into play, going to evolve that Cloudfin Raptor up to a 3/4. Mutavault coming into play for Palmer as well, but he is cardless, and you can just see how the boards line up here.
Yeah.
Board for Keith is so much better than Palmer's.
Right. For the rest of the game, we're making Pack Rats here. I mean, there's just no reason to do much else. I mean, you can play the Underworld Connections in order to fuel more, but he really doesn't even need to. He can just tap 3 and discard a card every turn.
Like a little Return of Ravnica Limited.
Yep. We're, we can switch to Limited real quick. Austin, what limited bomb would he need?
Umezawa's GT.
Umezawa's GT.
I think that's the one.
And I don't even think that would do it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that would do it.
Nope.
Here's a Hero's Downfall at the top for Keith. Going to take care of that Cloudfin Raptor. And Austin says, you know what, I'm going to pick up the rest of them too. So we're going to go to a 3rd game here between Keith and Palmer. Black-Green Devotion versus Mono-Blue Devotion.
Yeah.
We'll see if either player does go back to the sideboard or not too. Something I always like to watch for when I'm doing coverage. If they're happy with their configurations or if they do just want to take a look back. When you're sideboarding, and they're going to a game 3. Do you ever go back to the board, make sure you're happy?
I always go back to the board. Just to look, just in case I overlook something, just to check all my bases here. And another thing is, as playing Control, I love Dissolve on the play against all these Devotion decks, but on the draw, I can't stand it. It's just very, very bad. So a lot of times, my 3-mana counterspells will be dropped on the draw and replaced with either Negate or nothing, and then brought back in on the play. So yeah, you got to check just to be sure. You can't really, it doesn't hurt.
Now, when you're sideboarding for game 2, do you shuffle all 15 in and pull 15 out?
No, no.
Lazy.
No, yeah.
Lazy magician.
That is very lazy. And when people do that to me, I ask them, I'm like, this is, all right, I mention how professional that is. And it is slightly intimidating.
I'm similarly lazy. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a hard time, but I don't ever do it.
No, no. And sometimes I board kind of crazy. Sometimes I board out one of these, and then the next day I play against the same deck and board a little bit differently depending on how I feel. So it's just it gets a little confusing if you ship all 15 in.
Only the masters board all 15.
Yeah, they're just,
We'll just confuse ourselves.
I have come to the realization that there's a skill cap for me, and I've already hit it. So we'll do what we can do,
All right.
I'll pedal along, do well in some invitationals. I have a good time doing that.
Let's play your revelations. Don't confuse yourself too much, though.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt myself. I guarantee if I picked up an aggro deck, I would just go 1 and 3.
I want to see it happen. Look, I played Esper in Seattle a couple weeks ago. Went 8 and 2. So I think that you could shift roles for a weekend.
Yeah.
Give some beatdowns.
I could do that.
At the Invitational that you top 8 in Atlanta, that also Ali and Shirazi top 8 Ali was playing Burn and Legacy.
Yeah, he was
Ali
playing Burn.
plays goofy decks.
I was playing Talrun and Sander. That's kind of weird too.
That's true.
That's a little weird.
True.
Yeah. That's because they printed Talrun, and I was like, man, this is the sweetest card ever. This is like Lingering Souls on crack. This is great. You just get 2 2s.
Didn't get enough play, but it was.
No, I didn't. I'm glad I got to play with it a little bit.
I'll still never forget, the round where I was sitting next to Ali. I was actually playing against Todd Anderson, and Ali was playing against Anthony Eason. Anthony was playing Goblins. Ali was playing Burn in that tournament. And, you're playing against Ali. You're assuming some sort of control deck or something, some funky brew. Yeah. And Ali was on the play, and he just went turn 1 land Goblin guy, and Anthony said, oh, well, I'm dead.
I thought it would have been awesome if he said land chain lightning you.
Yeah. And he just looks at his hand and he goes, I'm so dead.
Yeah.
This is
I
unreal.
The worst hand ever.
Why are you playing Burn? He's like, I don't know. It just seemed like it was a good choice.
I bet I would do well then, too, if I did that.
Yeah, no one would put you on it.
No, definitely
That's
not.
for sure.
Yeah. Land Goblin guy to attack you.
Yep.
Are you feeling all right?
Land spike you. It's like, I lost my deck. That's why I'm playing this weekend.
I would need to come up with some crazy example or excuse, too, because I would let down a lot of people.
You should stand firm when you're playing. Actually, just be like, it's the best deck.
Yeah.
That's why I'm playing this.
Yeah.
I tested a lot, and I felt that Burn was the best deck for the tournament.
Yep. Or I lost a dare instead of shaving my head.
There you go. I like that one.
Decided to play some Goblin Guides. Ugh. No, thank you. I'll leave the attacking for you guys.
I like to attack, so that's fine.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier.
The more creatures, the better.
Palmer takes a look at his 7. Looks like both players are happy, and we are going to be underway for game number 3 here, Island for Austin. See how Keith wants to start the show. He's got both of his Temple of Mysteries in his hand again, so a little scry action.
Yeah. Scrying, when these lands came out, people grumbled and, griped, and I was one of them who was like, I don't know. And then when you play with these lands, they're awesome. I love them. I am
sold on these lands.
Me too.
After playing Esper in Seattle, I'm sold. I absolutely love them. A lot of decisions to be made with them. Makes some sketchers, some sketchy hands keepable.
Yeah.
I'm all for them.
For those listening playing Blue, White, Red, we will be adding, I might add 2 Temple of Deceit, 2 for fun. Cut a couple islands.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, who plays Burning Earth, really? We'll be all right.
So when the Blue-White land comes out and the Blue-Red one, you're just going to jam both those in your deck?
Yeah.
Just going to play all the Scry lands you can?
I might. Those lands are so good. Because I never mulligan anyway, and now finally I get the reward I deserve for not mulliganing.
Frostburn Weird here from Austin Palmer on turn 2. See, Keith untaps that Temple, so we'll see what he has on the second turn because he has a Golgari Guildgate in his hand. He also has that other Temple of Mystery, so he's off to a slow start here. And this mono blue Devotion deck, while it's not the most aggressive deck in the format, it can kill you pretty fast once it gets set up.
Yeah, I mean,
so you can't mess around too much.
Nope, 5/5 for 3 are pretty good.
Golgari Guildgate is the choice there for Keith. I mean, either one of his lands were going to come and play tapped anyway, so he wants to establish some black mana. Palmer going to untap and draw. He's going to play, predictably, an island.
And the only negative of adding green to your deck is the obvious inclusion of Guild Gates, where you need to play in the Devotion deck, because you still need black, and, lots of black for Underworld connections as well.
There is your 5-mana 3/3. Thassa, God of the Sea, has shown up. It's not live yet, but it doesn't take much for it to be live. And if you've ever played against Mono Blue Devotion, you know that thing is oftentimes attacking you for 5 on turn 4.
Yeah, easily. I mean, all he needs is a blue card. It could be a Bident, which happens to have 2 blue in it. It could be a Jace, which has 2 blue in it. Or it could just simply be another creature, and he's good to go.
Yeah, everyone's favorite, the old Tidebinder Mage.
Yeah, there you go. Tidebinder. Never thought I'd see it in this fashion. I thought it would be in the sideboard, maybe of some mid-range deck. Not the flagship bearer there.
Keith going to scry with that Temple of Mystery. It's kind of funny, actually, where I think about now looking at future sets, because now the thing that people are going to do is looking not so much at what the card, like, you'll obviously look at the text of the cards, but they'll be looking at the casting cost now, too.
Yeah.
So when Born of the Gods does come out, they'll be taking a look at those cards and saying, okay, first of all, are they good? And second of all, what are the casting costs?
Yeah, do you think that Wizards might have to adapt some of their cards or change some of their cards just to make them not too good with the devotion?
I think something that they certainly had to think of for the rest of the next sets that are coming out when these cards are legal.
I think often they don't know, obviously, how good these cards are going to be when actually out in the battlefield here.
Yeah.
And Devotion's got to be one of those that took us by storm here, because it's just, it doesn't look that good, because I don't want to play Frostborn Weirds and Judge's Familiars, but, it's worth it.
Nightveil Spectre and Judge Familiar are going to come down. Nightveil Spectre going to hit an Abrupt Decay. That means Thassa is shut off.
Yep.
So Keith is going to take 1. He's going to go down to 18. And, of course, that a Judge's Familiar can't counter Abrupt Decay, as it is uncounterable. He's going to untap his lands and draw a card.
Is that a bite in his hand? Because if it is, that is going to be a big turn if Jody is, has his shields down here.
Yep.
He taps out for an Underworld Connections or something. It's going to be tough, and he is paying 2 life here, and I think we're going to see Underworld Connections on the land or Nightveil Spectre, one of those two.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to play that on tap. Now he's a little bit unsure of himself.
Yeah.
You see the connections. He's got a Nightveil Spectre in his hand. He does have a Hero's Downfall, too. He needs to try to keep Thassa from getting active, but the problem for Keith's deck is that he doesn't have a great way of getting Thassa actually off the board.
No,
as here is the Spectre.
Yeah, again, if you're mono blue and you don't see your opponent play a Temple of Deceit or some Esper cards, you're in good shape, because you pretty much have a great game against everything else, because they don't have a way to deal with indestructible cards.
Scry 1 here from the Thassa. Going to put the card on the bottom. Palmer going to move that mana around.
Tidebinder Mage, I think.
I think that was the draw. It is a Tidebinder Mage. Yeah. Also got a 1 mana spell here. So Cloudfin Raptor going to show up to the party.
This is going to be a big turn for Austin here.
Looks like a follow-up of a Judge's Familiar, so Evolve. Going to turn the Raptor into a 1-2.
We're going to evolve one more time. What a series of cards, huh? All working in perfect harmony. And that's just lots of permanence on Austin's side. And you're not playing against Supreme Verdict. What would a Verdict do to this board? And that's why, again, Paper, Rock, Scissors. You're not playing against Verdict. I can just play out all my cards, and good luck dealing with this indestructible card when you're the colors that have no real answer to it.
Yeah, and the black deck does not have a card like Mutilate anymore.
Nope.
Doesn't have stuff like that. As Keith draws a Thoughtseize for the turn, Palmer's empty-handed, so that's going to be no good. He does play Mutavault for his first land, but he's really got to get something going here, because he's, a lot of these cards are actually kind of irrelevant on Palmer's side. Judge Familiar not doing very much. Cloudfin Raptor not going to beat Nightveil Spectre in combat. Tidebinder Mage, meh, who cares? But the Thassa is the big problem, and this is what we were talking about at the top, where, you have to play a lot of mediocre to bad cards to actually make the good cards in this deck work, but the good cards are worth it.
Yeah, we pretty much have a literal God card turned on.
Yeah.
A card that is undealable. You cannot deal with it. And Jody here, I think the only outs that I can see him having is building up a ton of devotion real quick and then just back-to-back-to-back drains.
Yeah, Gray Merchants are going to need to show up to the party here. I mean, first Gray Merchant this turn would be for 5, and that would certainly help, but he's just going to pass the turn back, which is not ideal for Mr. Keith.
No, he would need, 2 removal spells at least to knock off devotion, and that's still just a bandage on the wound here, this gaping wound.
So the Scry 1 going to happen here for Palmer.
Oh, it's an Omen Speaker. He's responding to the Scry trigger.
Yeah, so the Scry trigger is resolved, but we haven't moved past the upkeep yet. So Keith is going to target something with a Hero's Downfall. Looks like it might be Frostburn, where he's really trying to decide.
He's like, can I kill Thassa?
Yeah, that one is not a hero.
Right.
So no.
You could try if you want.
Does he want to take down the Raptor or the Weird? I think he wants to take down the Weird.
Yeah,
because the Weird can beat the Spectre in combat.
Yeah, and eventually he may be able to get his devotion back down if Austin has really bad draws from here on out.
Yeah, but Thassa makes it so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, makes it very, very difficult to do. Yeah, Hero's Downfall is another card. It's so good against so many decks, but against this deck, your Hero's Downfalling, Tidebender Mages and Frostborn Weirds and Judge's Familiars, you're paying 3 mana to kill these cheap creatures that do nothing really on their own.
Yeah, when you're paying more mana to kill a creature than they're actually using to cast it, that's not ideal.
Not ideal at all. So here's the MVP of the day, Omen Speaker. Let's see if we can get some sweet scry on.
Best card in Magic history.
It is.
For
It's
my
up there.
money.
It's like Dark Confident, Tarmogoyf, Omen Speaker. I mean, look what it's going to do here.
A little Scry 2 action here for Palmer.
What I love is when my opponent plays an Omen Speaker, which is rare anyway, and then they leave them both on top. I'm like, hi, you still happy about that?
Yeah.
Still happy?
Well, he's just glad good cards are coming.
It's like, seen that coming. All right, crashing. Unblockable crashing. Did he make it?
Yeah, unblockable.
I guess he just wants to kill Jody in 2 turns here, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's ideal, I think.
Yeah.
Got to put Keith down to 8. You can make Thassa unblockable next turn, so Jody's at a virtual 3, and then crash in with all those dum-dums.
Yeah.
And should be able to get the job done.
Dum-dums incoming. And he also has a 2-power Cloudfin Raptor, too. Make that unblockable, and that effectively puts Jody to dead.
Well, step 1 for Jody is actually complete. He drew a Gray Merchant of Asphodel, and so he can actually drain for 5 here.
Yeah. If only he was able to, there's a turn where he could have played an Underworld Connections as well and then drawn a card, maybe get some things going there. Another turn he played the Nightville Spectre. No, there's a turn, I think he used a removal spell that turn, then Abrupt Decay.
Yep.
Which only delayed the inevitable. I think Jody's could have had a small window to kind of fuel the fire for this out that we predicted he would need. But at this point, the drain is just not enough. He's going to need to draw like 2 more of these in a row.
Hey, that's not impossible. It's just improbable.
I've seen crazier things, so we'll see.
So Gary, the insurance salesman, is going to come in. Gain 5, drain 5 will take place. Palmer goes on to 15, Keith back up to 13, basically negating that Thassa attack. Thassa's going to scry here for Palmer. Now, he did leave this card on top for the Omen Speaker, so it'll be interesting to see if he does put it on the bottom now that the Gray Merchant has showed up.
Yep, things could have changed in Austin's plan here. He's going to draw it, and I did not get a good look at it.
Yeah.
But, again, Austin really doesn't need much help to this board state here. He really just needs Jody not to hit a couple Gray Merchants in a row. Because, let's say 2 in a row, let's be hypothetical and fun here, it would be a 7 drain and then a 9 drain, and that would do it.
Looks like he may have drawn a Cyclonic Rift for the turn. And that's exactly what it is. So he's going to bounce the Nightvale Spectre.
Which is
That's actually really good.
Essentially nearly game over here.
He's going to give his Thassa unblockable, and he's going to turn likely everybody sideways. So we're at least 5, so Keith's going to go down to 8. Flyers are going to make it 7, 6, 5, 4. Omen Speaker's going to make it 3. So Keith is going to take 10 on this attack.
Yeah, I don't know if he needed to make the guy unblockable because I don't think he's chump blocking anyway. I think the only way Jody could win is just having massive devotion on the board and continue to drain here. I think he would still have blocked the 2-2 there.
This is kind of interesting, though, because you take a look at the board state. The devotion right now is exactly 5.
Yep.
So if Keith is able to actually kill something, then he can make it to Thassa can attack. Now, yes, Thassa can make other things unblockable, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the attack with the Tidebender Mage unless you're going to make it unblockable.
Sure.
And that's who cares if he chump blocks with Thassa? If he's doing that, he's pretty much conceded anyway. So now it could come into play here. That's a Freakish Cure, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I think things could just get out of control here. I think he should Freakish Cure. He should have done Freakish Cure first in case he wants to do any Judge Familiar action. But I don't think it's going to be truly relevant here. But now it's going to be countered anyway because I'm sure he's going to target one of the Judge Familiars. It doesn't kill much else.
It's kind of interesting, actually, because, you know, how does he want to go about using this is really, this Freakish Cure is really interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to pass the turn back, and Palmer will get to start by scrying for his turn yet again with Thassa.
Yeah, he really needs, he needs him to hit island here, island, continuing that going. So
maybe additional Thassas, something like that.
Yeah.
Just some poor draw steps, even though Scry's going to do its best to mitigate that.
Yep. All right.
And there also is the opportunity here for the Mono Blue Devotion player, Palmer, to actually make a mistake with just how his activations go with the Thassas and things of that nature. So he's going to attack like this.
All right, so the Freakish Cure is going to put Jody at 1 if he targets the Judge's Familiar, because he's going to sack the Judge's Familiar in response. If he targets the Omen Speaker or something else, then he can gain 2 life and then go to 2 effectively, but he would still leave him with another Judge's Familiar in play. I don't know if there's a big difference there. I think I'll target the Familiar because I want him to. I want to get rid of cards on this board.
Sure.
I want to prepare myself for this.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't think he has a better target either.
I mean, yeah. The only other thing you can do is just auto gain 2 life on one of his bigger creatures, but
Yeah, so he says, Freakus, you're a target. The judge is familiar that is unblockable and trying to attack me for lethal. And so if you're Palmer here, you just sacrifice that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
You sacrifice that one, negate the life gain. The Cloud Raptor will knock Keith down to 1, and Keith will still be in a similar situation of having to beat the unblockable from Mono Blue Devotion,
right,
from the Thassa.
Jody will pretty much be down to having to draw another Gray Merchant off the top.
So that's exactly what Palmer does. He says, all right, I mean, when you sacrifice this and target that, and Keith says, I'm not going to pay. It doesn't do anything. Okay, so I'm not going to gain any life. I'm going to take 2 and go down to 1. So Keith kind of bought himself a turn there as Island comes into play for Palmer.
Yep.
He needs to draw a Gray Merchant off the top. What does he draw? Didn't quite make it out. It's a Hero's Downfall.
Also something, but not enough. He has to gain life somehow, and I don't think he can. Yeah, he doesn't have a way to kill 2 things here.
It's kind of interesting, though, because, again, this, and I love this attack.
Yeah.
Because he could hit something of relevance, because he does have blue mana. So I absolutely adore this attack.
He's 1 land off from. I couldn't. Actually, no, he couldn't do that. Overload a.
Top card, Island. Hasn't played a land yet for the turn.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his hand. Unless it's a Freakish Cure on the left. What is that card on the far left?
Far left is a Pack Rat. So he's got a Pack Rat, a Thoughtseize, an Underworld Connections, and a Hero's Downfall.
So Jody's pretty much dead to Austin unless a misplay happens.
That's what he's trying to induce.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make it so that Austin mismanages his resources, because that's really all that he can do, is hope that his opponent makes a mistake.
And definitely say go here.
Yep.
And he will. So if Austin messes up and Jody rips a Great Merchant, we have a game. But if Austin does, 2 unblockable things, then this game is over. So all we can do is wait and see.
Keith is trying pretty hard to induce some sort of error. It's going to be tough to do, though. I'll tell you.
Yeah, because Austin's been pretty mono attack unblockable.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening.
So he's going to tap mana to start. Says Omen Speaker's unblockable.
Yep. Oh,
and
wow.
Attack with everybody, and that is going to do it. Yep. So Austin Palmer is going to win this match over Jody Keith. Mono Blue Devotion defeating Black Green Devotion 2 games to 1, and that means Mono Blue Devotion will move on to 4.